Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, presented by Living Sisu.
I want to be a mentor for the kids. That's my biggest one. Like, it's more than just training. I make sure these guys are. I want to be remembered for how much I brought to them. Like, help their confidence in life, help them achieve whatever they want to achieve, whatever the potential allows them to achieve. So it's not so much about the training quality per se. It's the how I can mentor these kids. That's what I want to be remembered for. So.
No matter who you are, what sport you play, or the level you're at, we all have one thing in common. We have to overcome adversity and tough challenges. Welcome to the Sisu Mindset. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Inspired Podcast once again. Today, I'm with Sébastien Lagrange from Acceleration Gym in Montreal. This is going to be one of the first times he's going to be my co-host today. Seb, how you doing, man?
I'm going good. You?
Yeah, I'm good. And honestly, this is a little bit different of a podcast than we usually have, because usually we have either professional athletes or athletes that are really super inspiring, or people that we call the Sisu heroes, where they really just inspire us with their stories and what they live on a daily basis and how they incorporate sports in their everyday life. But today it's a little different. We have you, which we're just going to talk about in a second, but Alex Sirard, and this type of podcast is going to be from our health pros. And this is where it's going to get a little bit more technical. We're going to talk about science. We're going to talk about sports, maybe deeper than usual, more technical. So give us a little bit of your background, Seb, and why you're going to be helping us out with the health pros, basically, because you kind of qualify as being a health pro.
Well, I don't want to take too much time, but like everyone else, I was an athlete first. I played hockey, not the highest level, and I fall in love with the training. So I decided to help Mark, which he's now the strength conditioning coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning since 2010. So I become the director of his gym, Acceleration, like you said. And I did my degree in kinesiology, my master in kinesiology, and I just finished my PhD in human performance and kinesiology, with also all my other certificate in terms of nutrition and way more. So for me, it's about passion. For me, it's knowledge, and I can't wait to interview all those people that we're gonna host this year.
Yeah, exactly. And the health pros, right? And
yeah.
I love that you gave yourself a little bit of a background, because it's a little bit modest. Sebastian is the most knowledgeable person that I know in kind of the training world. You know, like he just said, he's just finishing up his PhD in say that again. It's sports human performance.
It's human performance. Yeah.
There you go, human performance, with all the other certificates and accolades in the back. So honestly, I'm super happy to be co-hosting with you, brother. It's an honor for me. But today, if we go on to today's show with Alex Sirard of Evo Athletics in Lethbridge, Alberta. Evo Athletics is a young gym. And this guy is awesome because he's so full of knowledge just from reading all these scientific studies. You could literally hear it and feel it when he's speaking. It was a really good talk. What did you think about our conversation with him today?
It was really interesting because he trains multiple sports. So for me, I only train hockey players. 99% of my clients is hockey player. He trained baseball, he trained basketball, he trains hockey, football. So for me, being able to talk with someone that focuses on prehab and on rehab and on different athletes was really cool.
Yeah, it's honestly super interesting because, like you said, we got into it a little bit where how basketball players, you got to focus more on vertical, and then hockey players, it's a different aspect, and baseball players, totally different aspect. So we kind of got into that, which was really interesting. And another aspect that is kind of overlooked is that he has kind of he called it this way. He said it was more of a niche market where he likes to work between 15 and 25 years old, because that's really where you build foundations and stuff like that. And we talked about building the right foundation to have a longer career and not get injured and, work a certain way to be optimal, right? So I don't know. It was honestly super interesting because he's super knowledgeable. You were knowledgeable and you wanted to pick his brain too. So I think it was good. You guys are really going to enjoy this episode. And if you have anything else to add, Seb, on that conversation, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, it was really, like I said, it's really cool. And I think like we have to learn from a lot of things that he said about being simple and looking your athletes move before buying technology and stuff like that. And also by the fact that we don't need much to train. You can train outside of your own home and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, I think we kind of summed it up pretty good there. Everybody enjoy this episode. We'll talk to you right after. Just before we start, I wanted to remind everybody to download the Living Sisu app pretty much wherever you get your apps, usually on Google Play and the Apple Store, and remind you of our 3 pillars of the Living Sisu community: learn, access, and activate. Super important to learn and give you guys information from the top health and fitness professionals. Secondly, really giving you access to exclusive offers from our partners. And lastly, the activate pillar, creating experiences, tournaments, and great events to get you guys to activate your lifestyle, and so we can live all these great experiences together as a community. So thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and I'll talk to you guys soon. What's up, everybody? Seb, how you doing? Alex, how you guys doing?
Good. Yeah, I'm great too. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We've been talking about getting together for a podcast for a little while. Seb and I have been trying to get some the perfect guest to start it off. And Alex, we've been talking for a little while now. New partner with us at Living Sisu, and honestly, it just works out perfect that we get to just hang out, talk about sports, talk about training and stuff. I'm joined with 2 pro trainers, so it's gonna be a good talk. I'm excited about it. How's everybody doing today? Like Seb, you had some clients today.
That's pretty cool. Good intro.
Yeah, good intro.
It's a perfect way to finish the day for me, actually.
Right.
Mine's starting actually today.
And you're starting, yeah.
Is that usually how it goes for you? You're working later these days, or is it?
Yeah, actually, right now, I usually start in the day because I do see a lot of stuff on social media as well. So that's usually in the morning. But usually noon to 9 o'clock at night is usually what my days are like, because I work with academies, and high school academies are usually in the afternoon. It was the same when I worked at the university, and most of our training was done in the afternoon. And then once we move on to like the youth stuff, it's usually after school, so it has to be in the evening. But I'm not back into town usually until like 6 in the evening. So I only have like, for now, until like I'm done with the academy, I only have till 6 to 9 to really do more with the youth program. So yeah, it's mostly evening stuff for me right now.
That's great. And you, so Evo Athletics, right? Like, I mean, we're going to get to talking about it right away. So we might as well just jump right in there. Talk to me about your inspiration to start Evo Athletics, and if it was somebody that got you involved, is it just yourself? I know you were a player. You played hockey for a long time. Give us a little bit about your background. Break the ice. And I like to start the podcast like this. Describe yourself with 3 words. Before you give yourself a little bit of a background story, describe yourself with 3 words. Let's break the ice that way. People will get to know you a little bit.
Okay, 3 words. One, be passionate. I'm absolutely passionate about hockey training, so I'm also passionate. Don't want to be dynamic. I'm trying to be like up there. I'm super energetic. So I guess energetic would be the 3rd one. Like dynamic and energetic would be the 2 that stand out the most. And then passion would be the 1st one. Really, it's all about passion for me. So really, passion would be the number 1.
Awesome. And what about your inspiration to start Evo Athletics out there in Lethbridge, Alberta?
Actually, it's funny. So one of the things, I'm not gonna lie, I am so happy to be talking with you guys, but I'm more happy to talk with Seb, to be honest. Nothing against you, Zach. It's just where I'm at right now, like in my city that I'm at right now, I don't get the chance to interact with people like Seb that have like that much knowledge and that expertise. The best perceived strength coach where I'm at right now doesn't have a degree, doesn't have any certification, and he's supposedly the best in play. So for me, I don't get that mentorship that some of you guys can have in bigger cities. So I'm super thrilled to be here and just talk with Seb. You too, Zach, obviously, but I want to talk with Seb.
Well, I'm just a fly on the wall. Seb, you go ahead. You guys get this talk. I'm just a fly on the wall.
Well, for starter, I want to know, like, what is your training philosophy? Because for us, let's say at Acceleration in Montreal, we have our own philosophy where it's based on the basic equation that force equal mass time acceleration. So we bring our athletes to be bigger, stronger, and faster. Do you have like your own philosophy or something that you
yes actually Yes, you're right. And actually, I love you guys. Like I've been scrolling through all your guys' pages, and that's so cool. I love what you guys do. Love the gym. But yeah, no, mine is actually it's all about movement proficiency. Mostly because I work with younger athletes. I have like one pro hockey player. I have a few older guys, but my niche, my main thing is our younger guys. So I want to teach them to move better. Um, it's sad, but I cannot. It's some way the phys ed teachers of these days, and I've had that conversation with other strength coaches from Calgary and so on. They only learn in school how to teach games. They don't learn them. They don't learn how to teach kids how to move. So now kids don't know how to run. They don't know how to throw. They don't know how to catch. And most of them even must spend more time sitting than ever. So teaching the kids how to move so they're efficient, healthy, and then able to do the rest, which is your right level. It's basically the formula of gain more power, bigger, stronger, and so on. It has to start with moving. If you can't move, going. And I was reading your last two posts you posted on Instagram on youth development. Dude, that's so awesome. And by the way, I love how you pose and you make it so simple to understand for like the general population. I don't want to say basic, I'm sure the general population. I'll have them the degree that we have. And I absolutely love that. And the biggest information, guys, it's movement proficiency. How can athletes learn to move, especially at a younger age? So then once they move on, whether they want to stay with me or not, they can move on to somebody else and just learn to move. And they've had the foundation, so they can go see somebody else if they want to, if they can stay with me, whatever. And they know how to move. And when they go into you, they can just go straight into whatever they're at, what their needs are at that point. So for me, it's movement proficiency. That's my biggest thing. And that's why I'd say I'm a sport performance, not a strength coach per se, because I want to focus on movements. I want to be a movement specialist. That's my thing. I want to focus on movement. That's my biggest thing. And I understand like the needs to understand like the physiology. And I know you're great at that. I've read all your stuff. Like I spent the past like 24 hours reading all your posts on Instagram.
Seb is honestly by I mean, from my knowledge, he has some of the most knowledge that I know in around me and in the sports world. I mean, of people that I know of trainers. I know a lot of trainers around, and I use the word trainer, which is weak for you guys, but I mean, he's got a lot of knowledge. So we're both super happy to be having this chat. And I think it's cool.
Knowledge doesn't mean you're good. It doesn't matter if I have a PhD. It doesn't mean I'm good.
That's true.
No,
so what
I
makes
agree.
you good, Seb? Let's start there.
Well, let's talk to my athletes, all right? Where's my athletes? Where are you at, guys?
Actually, I want to add something to that. Because I look at Instagram, like I said, and we follow the same strength coach out in the United States. I'm not going to say any name. I don't want to bash on anyone. I do believe he's brilliant. I'm assuming you probably think the same thing. His programming is phenomenal, but he constantly posts of his athletes, and they're terrible movers. I'm sorry, but they don't move well. And this program is absolutely phenomenal. I love what he does. But his ability to teach, maybe, I don't know if it's him, his assistant coaches or whatever, but his athletes are not good movers. And for me, that's a pet peeve of myself. And you're right. There's some good strength coaches that are super knowledgeable, but they're not good coaches. That's the thing too. You can be great programming, but cannot deliver a program. So I think there's a happy medium with everything you need to have. And for me, my expertise, I try to pride myself on the coaching aspect more than anything else. But that's because I work with younger athletes. And I don't sacrifice anything to programming whatsoever, but I want to make sure that they move well. And that's my emphasis is on motion, movement, and how can they move efficiently so they're safe and healthy down the road. Because if you're not necessarily a pro playing at a top level, you have to have a long career if you want to make sure that you can make a living out of it. So you got to make sure you're healthy and safe. And I get a lot of athletes that come in here, and I think it comes from coaches too. The emphasis too much on the needs of the sport. And I see a lot of my pitchers in baseball right now. The coaches want me to do anything overhead and fix their shoulders because it will affect their ability to throw. Not necessarily if it hurts them to go above their shoulders because they have underlying issues that need to be addressed. The coaches would want to fix that now. You want to make sure they're pitching 100-mile-per-hour balls. So those are the things that I kind of know me. I'll say I work with a coach. I got to respond to the coach.
Yeah.
But those are the things that for me, it hurts me because he's 16, he's 17, he's 18. He's got issues like that already. What's going to happen when he turns 24? And those are the things that can lead to longer issues and maybe not as long of a career because his arms will give up before. And they're getting surgery at an earlier age now. So those are the things that I find out a bit of a pet peeve, and sometimes it's overlooked. So that's my challenge.
So you're training your athletes not to become a better baseball player or hockey player or whatever. You're training them to become a better athletes.
Yes. To an extent, there's always time for everything in training. There's a time where they have to become athletes. That's my job too. Like they have to be better athletes. They have to perform. So there's a time and place for everything in the program, especially in the off. I think sometimes, and it's an over aspect, and again, read on some of your posts that like, athletes now specialize in sports at such an early age, and that's all they do. And then they forget everything else. So now they only focus on one aspect and one aspect only, and their foundation is so off. So rather than having a strong foundation building up, they build in reverse. So now, like down the road, they're 25. They come see you because they were with this guy, this social trainer, and all they did is build whatever they need for the sports. They come to you and like they're so banged up. They think they're good at hockey. They think they skate well, but they're skating with the brakes on because they're so imbalanced in their hips. So many issues like that I try to prevent at an earlier age, so that when they do get to that old age, they're fit, they're healthy, they're good to go, and no, they're going to be both have a long career and a healthy career. Because like Zach, you probably know that more than anybody else. At the pro level, one of the things that is the worst part is being injured. As a pro, like first of all, the team suffers because now, yes, it's nice for guys that get a chance to move up, but when a guy's injured, the team has to pay for salary, has to pay for the guy who comes up, and they have to pay for all the treatment. So that increases the amount of money the team has to spend. So it's also costly in terms of money, but it doesn't help the team either, because if you're out, then your team is down a guy, and you got to play without that guy. So preventing injuries is crucial for me, and teaching the kids the right foundation right now is primordial, and then getting them to move on and eventually be able to do what they can at their best, the better.
Absolutely.
It's key because just a quick story, like a couple of weeks ago, I posted on Instagram about jumping rope. And the main reason was I train a bit like you. I don't know if it's the same thing. It's sport-études, it's academy. I think it's the same principle, go to school and then they train in the afternoon. And they're so good at hockey. They're on the ice, but they're sports-specific oriented athletes. And I do the warm-up and I ask them just for 2 minutes to just skip on the rope. And half of them couldn't even do jumping ropes. So for me it was, wow. I couldn't believe it. I was like, are they kidding me? Like, you do that in kindergarten and then in elementary school, and then you cannot do that at 15 or 16 years old, but you're in the best prospect to become the best player in Quebec.
Right. That makes no sense, right? Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. Like I said, like I have some of these guys right now. Okay, I'm talking guys. I have 4 baseball players are probably going to play for Team Canada this year. Okay, some of them are they're all like D1 commit or national or junior college D1 commit. Like they're top end athletes, and watching these guys move sometimes it's just absolutely baffling. Especially like I don't want to pick on our pitchers. It just happens to be the set. They have a pride in what they do and they're phenomenal. But they only focus on one thing, and it's pitching the ball as fast as they can, and that's all they do.
Right.
So everything else is affected. And like they have so many issues down that, and they're so imbalanced, and they never really addressed it. So you're right, and that it's baffling. And actually, I know what you're talking about. So I played midget AAA out in Quebec, so I know how it works. Like that, I understand. It's like the same thing. It's kind of how it is.
Yeah, you're familiar with the area and everything. So I remember we talked about like.
So like obviously, I grew up in Gatineau, so I was in Gatineau for like most of my career, and I played for Amos in midget AAA, way up north. And then, so I spent most of my time out there, and then I moved out here when I was in grade 12, my year after second grade 5. And so going over that, basically, you're right. Like the kids, it's amazing how good they are because they specialize so early on, but they struggle later on when it comes to
staying healthy, really. And then when they're getting challenged with like a schedule that's more taxing and whatnot, and then you're playing against men all of a sudden in pro ranks. All of a sudden you're injured here, you're injured there, you can't follow as much. But maybe the foundation wasn't set right. I mean, there's so many questions. I have so many questions for both of you, actually. It's so good that I'm here. I'm going to learn more than anybody else today. But hey, look, because you guys are training 2 different types of people. Seb, you're training the top 1% of the food chain in sport, mainly. I mean, you're with professional athletes, guys that play the NHL and other sports and stuff like that. And Alex, on the other end, you have a professional player, but you're more at the youth stage where you're just developing the foundation for people. And I think it's awesome that we got you guys together so we can kind of chat on where do you start? Like Seb, like where would you like an athlete to be when he or she enters your gym, for example, and he's been with Alex for 10 years. Obviously, you see the difference in movement and stability and all these things. And, I'd like to know how much of a challenge is that for you, Seb, to have somebody that's totally like not well coached from a young age and can't really move well compared to he's been with Alex for a little while and then he passes him over once they're pro, for example. How much of a difference would that be? And what do you guys think about that?
I think honestly that for coaching, for me, I think like in terms of coaching hockey, not strength coach. I mean, the Pee Wee coaches are the most important because this is where the parents are in the back, they're pushing you, and then before you go to bantam and midget. And I think it's the same principle when you look at strength coaching, strength and conditioning. I mean, I still train young kids, and for me, sometimes, yes, you know, training a 12 years old or 14 and 16 is not as much as training a pro player, but he might become one of them depending on the time and energy you put into him. And let's say Alex, the question that Zach just asked, he put times and effort building that perfect foundation. So that roof, I can put that roof on top of that foundation. So for me, I'm a strength and conditioning. So for me, I can increase their strength. I can focus on performance and not on prehab too much and then on those little weaknesses, because he's ready to go. He's good to go.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like for me, actually, kind of with the way. So I'll go back for a quick second here. So you're talking about prehab and stuff, and that's my biggest thing. One, I want to educate the athletes on that, how crucial it is for them to take care of their body first. And I'm sure you know that said, like it's tough to teach a high school kid they need to take care of themselves, to get them to dive into that, especially right now with COVID. To me, it looks like they're using COVID as a reason to be lazy. Like, hey, no, it's COVID. I can't do anything. I'm just going to sit back and play video games. But there's so much more they can do to some extent. But yeah, teaching them that is crucial. And where it started, so I was in my undergrad actually, and I read this quote, and it stuck with me because I've had so many injuries in my career. And I'll get back to that later. And it said, strength coaches should learn like physiotherapists to prevent injuries down the road. And I just loved it. It stuck with me, and I just kind of like emphasized more the motion, the movement pattern, especially because like as weird as it is, don't get me wrong, it would be so cool to work with pro athletes. But my favorite niche, like where I want to be, 15 to 25. I love that age gap. I absolutely love the athletes at that time. So whether it's like high school athletes, junior college athletes, I love that. There's something about those guys. I don't know what it is. I just love working with those guys.
Testosterone.
So like that's what I feel like down the road.
Be careful, Alex. A lot of players now, they turn pro 18, 19, 20, 21.
I know.
Right?
I know.
So it depends
I'm
on
not
the
saying
sport,
I'm
right?
away, but I know. I get that. I'm saying I like seeing them, and like I've had some athletes now that I've been with me since they're 12. I like seeing them moving in and then looking at where they've been and now where they are now and like where they're going. I think it's so cool to see that. There's some dynamic, and you're right. There's so many younger pros now, so it's phenomenal. But for me, like I would really like to work a junior team over an NHL team. I'd take a junior team. I want to work with those guys who are aspiring to go somewhere still, and it's not against the pros. But that's one thing I found that I like and or love really, and that's what I want to do. But yeah, going to SAS, like that's the one thing I would love to be doing exactly that. So like I do the basic, I build those guys up, help them up, and I know when they're going to their pro campus, they're going to be out there and they're going to do great. And then once they move on, if they decide to move on from me, no, they're going to be ready, and I'm confident that the strength coach will be able to help them out, and they're going to be able to like do whatever like Seb would apply on them, and that'd be phenomenal. Like that's my one thing, and that's why I like that development part of the young athletes. I think is just such a cool thing to do.
So if you talk a lot about prehab, is there something that you see in your clientele or athletes that is there like a movement, I don't know, like a bird dog, or is there something that you think you would recommend to everyone that younger kids should do what they don't do?
So if I go across, like my three main sports are baseball, basketball, and hockey. If I go across almost every athletes I've seen are all TFL dominant, like crazy dominant. Okay, it's a bit algorithm. It can go so much broader. Why is that the case? See, there's so much, such as like the lifestyle. They're sitting so much more, so their glutes are weaker, their psoas are weaker.
Right.
It affects their posture and everything. But the biggest thing that I found is because they have weaker glutes as they're growing up, and so they don't have the proper internal hip rotation, external hip rotation. They tend to utilize their TFL way more when they do skater stride as they're pushing out, rather than using the proper muscles. So they skate basically they skate with the brakes on. They don't use their full power to the triple extension of the leg. So for me right now is like, hey, learn to shut down the TFL to allow the glutes. So basically, we're talking agonist, antagonist, or coordination of the muscles to really take over properly. And I hear too oftentimes social as, hey, my glutes don't fire. Are they not firing? Are they weak? Is your hamstring taking over? Is your TFL taking over? Lack of coordination, too much coordination? Like, what is it? And I hear that way too much. Oh, yeah, I got to do glute bridges and clamshells because my glutes don't fire. That might not be the case for you. There's so many things like that. So for me, that's one. But there's more that can tie into that. And it's
not that simple, Alex?
Was that? Sorry, it is
Isn't
simple for
that
me.
the only? Isn't that the two drills you have to do to fire your glutes? I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't
I
know that. Sorry, my bad.
apparently it might be. From what I'm hearing around here, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, so
I just messing with you.
it's absolutely baffling. And then Seth, I'll say that one. Like, if you're running, okay, we all know if you want to, if you're sprinting to improve on your speed, because Dr. Boucher talked a lot about that correlation of sprinting and skating, how we can improve on your speed. Um, so you need two things really, but really there's a third one people don't ever think about. So if you want a full leg extension, what is the first thing you need to do? You need a hip extension and you need a glute activation. But one of the biggest things people don't realize, if you want to maximize those two things, you need to have a proper internal hip rotation, which most athletes don't even have because they're so TFL dominant that their hip is literally set in place and their glutes aren't able to travel, they're not able to release anything. So their inability to move through their hips is what causing everything. And I know, like, no, the femur head, the femur, the length of femur, and like the joint socket will change all that. I understand that, and it differs from kids, but there's so much more to it that is crucial. Another one too that I've been looking a lot more, especially in hockey players more than anybody else, although I see it in every sports, is when it comes to like the knee valgus. Okay, and often we like people, and I growing up, yeah, knee valgus, your VMO was
Okay, for people who don't know that, what the hell? What the hell is that?
It's knee cavings when your knee comes in inward. Okay.
Oh, the goalie move.
Yes,
The goalie move inside.
It's
So that's me right there.
You see in the skaters, and especially like my goalies are the worst, right? Like the young goalies that start with me, they're the worst at it. You can just see like it's right knee in every time. And then where my inside my knee hurts, like, yeah, there's a reason for that. But growing up, the only thing that I was ever told is like, hey, your VMO's too weak. Your VMO's too weak. Is like, no, there's way more than that. And now one of the biggest I think that I notice, especially in hockey players, because it's how we skate. Usually we use the inside edge way more with our foot, is the guys have a foot pronation when they squat, when they push. Naturally, because their brain is wired that way. So what they do is they revert back to their pattern to push inward. That forces the shin angle to change, drives anything. They might have great glute activation, great VMO strength, but their knee still caves in and has nothing to do with the actual weakness in the muscle. It's purely because they don't have that ability to.
It's the posture thing, right? And
So
maybe like a brain thing as well, where you have to
it's
refire
basic.
properly, and that's where you specialize and come in and say, hey, look, like you're not realizing really what's going on, and if you continue to do it this way with your foot in a certain position, for example, I'm just using an example, this might lead down the road to injuries and stuff like that. So this is really your specialty where you kind of bring that back in place. And I know where I train in the summer, that's a very big point of emphasis, and posture and all that, and movement patterns and stuff, and it honestly has to do with your brain more than anything, and you just got to rewire your brain to move a certain way. And I think like you're totally hitting on something that I've heard before from my own trainer Mark, and Seb, you for sure heard about this, and maybe don't do it to that extent. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I think it's one thing that needs to be addressed more. It's called RNT, or reactive neuromuscular training. It's purely trying to teach your brain to move in the right pattern. Another one I'm starting to see more, and I'm a big fan of it too, is proprioceptive training in younger athletes, because we lose feedbacks to our feet. We lose so many things that can also affect that ability of the brain to activate and engage the right muscle pattern. So teaching the kids how to move, knowing their joints, or improving their motor control are crucial things that I think is a lacking in sports. Because
and how do you do that? Do you go just more barefoot stuff, stretching
barefoot
under the
so
feet and stuff like that?
But it's more than that, actually. It's refeeding. So we have so many nerve ending that comes to the bottom of our foot. And the problem is that because we're in our shoes that absorb so much impact now these days, us goalies and players, like, we're in our skates all the time. So especially if you're coaching all day and I'm training and practicing in my shoes, I lose that feedback to my feet. So all I know is where my foot is and it's a bit of feedback, but I don't truly feel where it should be. So that affects my actual positioning of my joints. So yes, working on the feet, straightening the foot is crucial, but also getting the foot more barefoot, more. You don't have to work out barefoot. I'm just saying, walk barefoot a bit more, get that sensation through the bottom of your foot reactivated. One thing that we use a lot here has these pads that have like groulings on tops, and they kind of dig into your feet. So the guys have to activate through, so to activate basically the nerves of the bottom of the foot to know where they stand in. Because in the gym, I don't want my athletes to be always barefoot, because there's a way they can drop down. There's anything can happen. I don't want the guys to get hurt. So I got to be careful, but there's times, yes, they're going to be barefoot. They're going to do some training barefoot. They got to build on that foot strength once, because we lose that in our shoes because we're so compressed. Even more so in our skates, you and I, or Alex or Seb,
Well, all of
were
us,
you
yeah.
a goalie or player, hockey
No,
player?
I was a defenseman.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But,
no.
I
So
mean,
yes,
but it actually
interesting,
makes
isn't
me
it?
think, Alex. Sorry to interrupt you. It honestly makes me think of a drill. Now that we're literally talking about this, you know how these have gotten really, really popular in the last couple of years, the big ropes, right? And we're just shaking the big ropes and stuff. But what we did in the last summer, which was, I thought it was one of the drills that helped me the most, like loosen up stuff in my ankle and stuff, was literally walking on those big. I just
Battle
said it.
ropes?
Yeah, ropes. Sorry, it's the language barrier here in French. But the big ropes, you're just literally walking one foot and really feeling it, lunging and rotating in and out, but literally on the rope. And it was great because it made you really feel where you're going. And all of a sudden, guys are falling, and first time you're falling, you don't know what you're doing. There's no control. And then 4, 5, 6 weeks down the line, we're doing things we weren't able to do. Just because we can feel and control our feet and ankles way
Yeah.
more. So I thought, I
No.
mean, just because you mentioned that, it just made me think. Sorry,
No, that's right. Actually, I know Toronto Maple Leafs actually added that type of training to their training in season as well. So I try to follow a lot of strength coaches. Like I'm a big nerd. I love watching you guys are doing it. I think it's so cool. It's
But
like
that's
saying
how you become better at it too.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
passion.
Yeah, and I know the Leafs are doing it now. I've seen more and more like pro teams in Canada using that stuff. But it's not just like, and it's not just hockey. It's baseball as well because they have their cleats. It's basketball because their foot are so weak because they have so much cushion on their shoes. So those are all things that needs to be addressed and get it right. So that proprioceptive training through the foot can help so much when it comes to injury prevention. Like the actual data, I can't remember the study. I'm gonna lie to you guys. I'm terrible to remember the name of the researchers and the title of the studies. But I remember. So what they found is strength training. You know that 6-9% of injuries can be reduced by strength training alone. 45% can be reduced with proprioceptive training. My only downfall with proprioceptive training is now it's used in a progression. So I'll see guys like doing progression. It's just like they'll do back squats on boosted balls and stuff like that. To an extent, like I don't know they truly understand that you need like if you need power, you're going to produce power. You need to have a solid surface so you can produce the power into the ground to push up. Like Seb, you can elaborate on that if you want. But you need that surface.
When you say Bosu and squat, I'm bleeding from my eyes, so I hopefully I'm
good.
not going to see that ever.
All right, let's dig into that. Why are you bleeding from your eyes there, Seb?
Well, like Alex just said, it's like you're asking your athletes to develop force production. So the goal of using a back squat, honestly, unless you're really trying to use speed work and use 50% or less of your 1RM, normally is to put as much load on that bar. So why would you squat on a unstability surface like a buster or something like that? It doesn't make any sense. But if back then you'll see NHL player on TV marketing wise doing this on a buster or something like that, instability, oh, why not? He's doing it, I'll do it then. And then it becomes like a
mainstream thing, right?
Yeah. But you should never do that. There's no point of doing that. It's
right.
Like,
So my question for you guys, maybe you could start on this one, is like, obviously with the study that Alex you were talking about, proprioceptive training is super important to really learn, maybe the step one of it all. But then how and when do you kind of incorporate and push that aside and say, okay, well, now we're going to squat with one rep max?
Well, I think the first thing we should ask Alex too, but it's in prehab, there's always like a system that each company or each strength conditioning coach use to monitor athletes or assessment like FMS and stuff like that before you program your first program to the athletes. So by knowing your athletes, you know where you should start. So it could be incorporating their warm-up as a cool down also. It really depends where he is. Does he comes from an injury or not? Right. So I think this is where we should look. There's so many things out there, there's so many tools, technology, and sometimes we tend to just put everything in one box. So sometimes it's better just keep it simple. So I think the first thing, well, Alex, I don't know what you do for like your assessment when you have your client to determine which proprioception they should use or when they should use. I don't know if you want to go into that a bit.
That was something I wanted to ask, and I'll just piggyback on what Seb was saying is an athlete comes into your doors. where do you start? What's step one? You know what I mean? Where do you go
For
from
me, I
there?
want to see it. I want to see them move. That's my biggest thing. And if I can see them practice, that's my number one. I want to see them move in their actual environment. Okay, how do they do move? How do they do certain things? That's going to be. And I know if it's strength coaches, if it's an ability that I have, I can see lackings. I could look at a video on Instagram right now, and I could break down an athlete movement pattern. I could see if they have missed, if they're making mistakes and so on, and if if they're not stable onto their joints. So it's an ability I've always had, but FMS. I'm certified FMS, so I have my functional movement system screening. That's how I test my guys. I lose like guys, but we always start with a anatomical adaptation phase. Okay, so it's basically like it's all body weight. I want to see them move, how they're moving. So if I'm not going to do a lunge, where's his knee going to track? Where's his bottom knees going to track? Does he have IT band syndrome? Yes. Why? So those are the things I try to break. So I want to see them move. That's what I do. I see them move. I put them through patterns that will expose weaknesses, especially depending on their sport. So I know hockey players are tentative to have like IT band syndrome. So I want to see them move. Okay, where's your knee going to track in space without resistance, without anything, just moving your space? Is your ankle flexibility going to be proper? Where are you going to apply pressure into your feet? All that stuff. So I'm just going to make them move in the gym, body weight. They're not going to touch any weight. And I'm going to watch them move some warm up. I'm going to do a dynamic line warm up, and I'll say, hey, let's move. Let's do this. See how coordinated you are, where you have those lackings. And throughout everything, I'm always evaluating my athletes. Like, hey, this is where you are. And same thing happens when they work out. Like, they have something prescribed. It's not working. There's a little tweak. We're going to apply it on the spot. I don't care. We're going to make sure that you're applying the right force and the right amount of application in terms of pattern that you need. So whether it's foot stability, knee tracking, whatever it is, we're going to adapt it as we go on.
Very cool. I think that's really needed in today's world, especially like you were talking about how athletes are, like we're all specializing so much younger. I mean, I played soccer till I was 15. I played basketball at school. I played all these other sports, but now all of a sudden, and I'm not saying I'm a perfect example of this, but now all of a sudden you have guys that stop every single other sport out there, and they're just either just playing soccer or just playing hockey or just playing basketball at 8, 9, 10, and it's 4 times a week practice, and it's strength coaches, and it's a skills coach on one day, and then the next day is a shooting coach, and the next day is a skating coach, and then, you know what I mean? It's pretty wild. So I think I agree with your method of just let's see you move. There's no drill, no nothing.
It's simple and it's perfect.
Yes, what do you think about that, sir?
Actually, I want to add
I think there's.
So you're talking about technology and stuff. I'm in a city. It's just a city. It's a decently big city, but people haven't evolved a time here. So they don't see the use of technology. They don't understand it. They won't pay for it. They won't pay for the value. And I was reading one of your posts say, hey, get paid for your value. And I love that post. And people don't want that. Like you're constantly, hey, you know what? My neighbor used to work out. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to train with him. I get my kid to go with him. Like, yeah, but bodybuilding workout, just lifting in the gym, it's not the same thing as training an athlete. So I wish people would understand that, hey, there's more to just working out when it comes to this. There's so much more to it that people sometimes just don't think about it. But yeah, technology use, I would love to bring in more. I'm trying. Obviously, it's costly. I've only been, like, Evo's only been here for a year. We didn't have technology at university. We barely had any. That's how I became the way I am, just through looking at my athletes, because at university, that's all I had to do. We had FMS equipment, but that was it. So I could only use FMS to test our athletes.
Yeah.
And in my time working at university, I only got tested once with the FMS.
Yeah, and you said
honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, stay like that.
I like it back that way anyways, but
simple. We are the simplest company if you come to Montreal, and sometimes our pro athlete comes in and they're disappointed by, oh, we're not doing this. You don't have this. No, you come in our gym and it's like Rocky Balboa gym. It's like old school, you know. You can smell the sweat from the other guys just finished their training. You know, there's nothing fancy about it.
But nowadays you're really disinfecting, right?
Yeah, but I'm doing for sure. It's COVID, right? But we're lifting whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm doing my PhD, okay? And the goal of my PhD that I just finished was actually to publish a research with the less amount of tools.
That's cool.
And this was a big debate with the jury in my school because they wanted biopsy, they wanted this, they wanted all those specific things that are so pricey and cost so much for people that are so hard to replicate your research after. So for me, it was just using jumping with a Bosco mat, using a reactive index with a G Flight. It's a $200 or less equipment, grip test, basic thing that strength conditioning coaches can use. Takes 10 minutes and you have something from your athletes.
And
so
it's reliable. It's simple, it's reliable, and it gives you the right information.
It's been proven for so long. Like, even if you look in the strength conditioning world, if we talk about books and stuff like that, it all comes back to the 1970s or 80s. It's you don't recreate stuff. It's been there. Don't, like, people trying to
reinvent,
but you reinvent,
yeah. For me, the one thing would be, I just want to be able to track my athletes, kind of create some accountability in terms of like where they're at and so on. Especially like you talk about bio age. So yes, there's like stuff you can do online, surveys you can fill out, and questionnaires. I mean, that you can fill out, and it gives you like your biological age. But I'd like to maybe know a bit more about that kind of some of my athletes, just kind of guide them a bit more. Do I want to get like the $20,000? No, I don't need that stuff. I don't want that. I love just people. Hey, let's go back to the primordial type of training. Let's move. Let's see you move. Let's see how well you move. Then let's fix you from there. Although I know, Zach, you talked about it with my buddy Stepper Braden on his podcast. I talked about the boot band. Love that stuff. That's something that's something I like, because it just tracks your ability to recover. It's the recovery side that I want my athletes kind of be more accountable to. In the gym.
And those things are fun, right? Like, those things are great. And, you know, we live in 2021. We don't have to live in you know, back in the day. We can use the technology if we want to. But what we're saying here is, you don't have to. You can keep it simple. You could use the equipment that's there, and let's say you're stuck in a hotel room, or you're traveling in a city, and all you have is a yoga mat and, I don't know, a 30-pound weight. Well, trust me, you could still get an insane workout in. Like, it could be still fine, and you won't miss out on all the other athletes working with their 10 coaches in the background. You won't miss out. You could still do those things. So I think that was so good how you said that, Alex. Yeah.
I agree. Like, I've been posting some free videos on YouTube, and really all they need is a 10 to 15-pound dumbbell, one, and a ball, whether it's a med ball, a basketball, a soccer, and they can
a band even.
Like yeah. So no, I agree with you, and I love the sound. How you guys are so simplistic. I'll tell you something. I've been in talk that I'm building an outdoor gym in my backyard. I'll have like 4 squat racks, barbell, plates, dumbbells, 4 benches. That's it.
And that's it.
An outdoor workout. We're gonna go back to some grind. Also, part of this, in case COVID were to happen and we're only allowed to have groups outside, I want to be able to offer a bit more than what we did last summer.
For sure.
But yeah, I think just going back outside, get that vitamin D from the sun. Let's get going. Let's get sweaty and
huge.
Have some fun. Bring the tires and whatever we need. Just grind it out a bit.
So Alex, you just answered that, but now I'm going to ask that to Seb. Seb, what would be your starter pack? Let's say you start your gym in the backyard. What's the bare minimum you need to be a happy guy in the gym?
Oh, honestly, I need a barbell. So something with like a barbell, a couple of weights, Olympic platform, maybe something like stable. And then after that, you don't need that much. You know, you're able to deadlift with the bar. You're able to squat with the bar. Your pressing movement, you can do overhead press with the bar. So honestly, I think the barbell is the most versatile tool that you need. And strength training comes from, you just need the barbell. The rest is just like add on.
Yeah,
I like that.
I love it.
And honestly, with Strongman equipment, for me, I train on Saturday in my driveway here. I push my car instead of having a sled, and I have an harness where I can drag my car from the back. Obviously, now it's winter, so I put pikes on my shoes. But I mean, I have a med ball. You don't have a med ball, just pick up a rock. You can do so much stuff. Like he was talking about the tire flip. There's you don't need
piece
much.
Of wood.
Exactly. You don't need much
for sure.
To have like to train your energy system. You don't need.
And really I like that because we're talking about athletes. We're talking about high-end athletes. We're talking about the youth that want to become high-end athletes. But this could help absolutely anybody. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, your kids. This could help anybody because it just we're just reiterating the message that you don't need a $15,000 or $50,000 gym with a bunch of equipment and electronics and this and that. You actually don't need it. It could be as simple as a freaking rock, like Seb was saying. So I think that's pretty dope.
Obviously, if you have a little budget,
cool,
good for you. It's perfect. You have a little garage. You have 1 squat rack, a couple things there and there. That would be best. But like you said, you don't need much.
No, awesome. I agree. And I love that. Growing up, honestly, from the age of 13 till I went to my first junior camp, we're doing dry runs outside. That's what we did. We pushed cars, we pulled cars. We had sandbags made with like tire tubes and sand in it. We had med balls, weight vests, soccer goals for pull-ups, and that's what we did. We did everything outside, and
That's awesome.
I showed up my first WHL camp, and I crushed the fitness testing. I wasn't the biggest kid by any means because I didn't really lift as much as other guys would, but I crushed it in the fitness testing. I was in incredible shape. I felt super confident, and it was great. It was hard. They were gruesome workouts, not gonna lie. The turn was something else. Also, what kind of brought me into this world is he was good at he instills so much like grind and relentless and passion for all that stuff, but he never applied any type of true movement patterns or anything. So we weren't lifting well. We weren't doing a lot of things well. I still to this guy, I admired that man, but there's a lot of stuff that caused me to have chronic injuries down the road. And then once I got to university and even in junior, like that wasn't much of a thing how to fix an injury for us. It was like, how can you manage the pain? So all we ever did was manage the pain. So I actually, Zach, I told you that, Seb, I ruptured my patella tendon last year, completely ruptured, nothing left. Like my kneecap's on the side of the knee. It was really bad because for so many years I never properly addressed it. And then once I came into this role, I fixed that. I was pain-free for years, but the damage was already done because we never truly addressed. And I was constantly complaining until my junior career, hey, my knee hurts, my hips are hurting.
Right.
What can I do? And all we ever did, ultrasound, iced it, that type of stuff, the game ready. We never actually addressed the issue. We just managed the pain. And that's kind of what brought me into this. And that's why I'm so focused on that injury prevention and aspect of movement, because I know what
you're living it. You lived it. It's more from experience.
It took me out. Like I missed so many games because of it. Like I've had so many bad injuries, and I want to help athletes. First of all, stay healthy. But if they're not healthy, how can we get you back as healthy as possible so you can play your game?
Very cool. Okay, I want to just move on. One more little question before we go to the big segment of our show where we ask the same questions to everybody. But I want to touch on the fact that you train multiple athletes in different sport. And Seb, I'd like to hear your opinion on this as well, or just your thinking on this. And how do you adjust different sports in your regimens, in your programs and stuff like that? Because obviously they're pretty radically different. You're talking about a pitcher from a hockey player to a basketball player. Those are very different things. So how do you adjust that? What are the things you would change, for example?
Okay, so actually the first thing is the room dynamic. It's crazy how different it is. Like
what's that? Sorry.
The way it is in the room, it's entirely like the way that you have to interact with the guys, the way they talk, the way they do everything, it's different. Oh, right. And surprisingly, I fell in love with basketball. Like I never thought, for me, I was going to be a hockey strength coach, and that was it. Okay, that's where like I excel. That's what I knew. That's my best. I played every sports, but that's the one sport I dominated. So like, you know what, I'm going to be a hockey strength coach. And at the university, we had issues. The basketball coach needed a new strength coach, and he actually asked for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take on. So I learned, studied the sports, studied everything. But how I change it is I got to be around the guys. So if they're going to practice, I want to be there. I want to see them practice. I got to see them move to understand the biomechanics of the sports, to apply it to its demand. But when it comes to foundation of an athlete, it's the same. They all each sport has different needs. So baseball is a lot more velocity based than power. Power is still crucial, but it's velocity based. Basketball, the velocity is not as great. It's more power based, closer to hockey in a sense, like on the spectrum. But the needs are the same. Obviously, the athletes are different. Basketball players are so tall. I'm always looking up when I'm talking to those guys because they're so tall. I'm only 6 feet, 6'1". So those guys are like 6'6", always looking up. But the needs and the biomechanics. So obviously, a basketball player needs a lot more vertical power than a hockey player would. Hockey will need more horizontal power than I could say the basketball. They're going about the rebounding. They run forward. They need that horizontal power still, but they need to be explosive. But the biggest thing for them is jumping, especially with those rebounds. So those are the things that I apply. So I can work out, and it came with learning. To be honest, it was a lot of learning at first, and I read tons of books and everything. I asked tons of questions to coaches, skill coaches that were around the teams, and I'm still asking questions. And then I'll just go and practice and watch them move, see how they're moving. How can I change that? And when I was at university, I did swim, I did golf, I did hockey, I did basketball, and I worked aside with some soccer athletes as well and track athletes.
And you have to learn different dynamics in every single thing and different muscle groups. And
the foundation remains fairly close to all the sports. And Seb, you probably agree on that one. Is like you're an athlete first, and you're a lifter in the gym, so you need the same foundation. Dan, you specialize a bit more into your sports, whatever that it is. And that's where it gets stuff. I was saying, like, a lot of coaches don't necessarily believe in that. They want their athletes to do only focusing on purely on what their needs are. And that builds worse athletes down the road because then they get injured, their body's in balance. And I know, Seb, you talked about that. Body balance is so crucial and it's overlooked from coaches. They probably just don't know, but it's a big thing that athletes need to address is make sure, hey, you're balanced. But yeah, as foundation remains the same. And then you just spread out a bit more on the specialization.
Seb, what do you think about that?
Well, I think, first of all, balance to a certain point. We need still that sometimes like up to 10% of contralateral side because sport is not symmetric. You're stronger on one side. You don't want to bring your athletes to be symmetric perfectly because it might reduce his performance. But honestly, for me, I was really curious about talking to you because you're, like Zach said, you're training a football player who might have a 16 games in 17 weeks normally if you go NFL, and he has a 35 weeks off season, and normally they are big jack and they jump over 40 inch and they still able to have like the between 42 and 60 VO2 max, which is pretty good for a football player concerning that they normally have short duration play. And then you go to a basketball player when they jump probably as high as the NFL player, not the same shape, but they have 82 games per year if you look at the NBA. Right. And then you go back to a baseball. And baseball, for me, it's really something that is my favorite sport to watch. When I go with a friend, it's perfect, it's quiet, you have the time to talk. But they play 162 games, which is average of 6 games per week. And they have probably, I think, like 20-ish weeks off season. Mm-hmm. But they managed to only do like I look at their combine, I think it's like 27 or 28 counter movement jump, which is pretty close to hockey when we look at combine. So 18 years old and stuff like that. But for me, baseball, I would thought that since it's like a really powerful sport, like shot putter and stuff like that, I would thought that those guys would be way stronger and more explosive than a football player. And when you look at research, those sports are the guys who take the most stimulant because they need to stay awake, man. That sport they have so much. I'm curious about how you train those baseball players. Like, honestly,
that's a great question.
A thing about baseball players. So I don't know a thing about that.
One reason I fell in love with baseball was because in baseball you have multiple positions. So you have the outfielder, you have the infielder, and in infielder you have your pitchers, you have your back catchers, you have guys who play on the bases. So it's all different. Velocity is one thing that they want and they need to improve. So that's why people say like their power's not that great because they spend more time on velocity because it's all velocity based for them. The power is crucial, but it's velocity based. The sad part that I see a lot is a lot of these guys lack power because they cannot move well enough. And again, baseball players are TFL down as well. Their glutes aren't working efficiently, so they don't have a proper triple extension. And they spend a lot of time purely working on velocity. And since they're so bilateral, like they built themselves so bilaterally that when it comes combined, they don't have the ability to generate true plantar power. So when it comes, it's always one foot, one back leg, my back leg. And that's why you see the injury rate is higher on the non-dominant leg because they don't work it as much, but also that's also their driving leg. Whereas on the back leg, they're usually super powerful and you see a big difference in terms of like muscle mass and abilities on both sides. So a lot of the sports, the stuff we do is you bilateral and then the primary focus is velocity. So and unfortunately, I work with Jeff Crushell. He consulted the MLB. He was at the strength coach for the Blue Jays for 15 years. So I have him in my back corner. He's been teaching me a lot, which I've been pretty fortunate. I don't know. I'm still learning. It's my first year doing baseball, so I'm still learning. But the biggest thing is that I did the study for, and it's velocity based. That's why their power's not as great as you think. I'm actually trying to change that. Our velocity is still high, but I spend a lot more emphasis on power because the exact same way you just said. Their power should be a lot greater, but it's not emphasized. It's always been velocity, and a bit of recovery. And it's because you said they play so many games. Like our guys this year because of COVID, they played double headers every day. 4 games in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's like you're at the ballpark from like 10 o'clock in the morning until 6 to 7 o'clock at night. That's your day.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, especially for these guys. So So for us, like stress management, what like stress waiving is so crucial and keeping track of it because they're in school too, so that's a lot. But yeah, you're right. It's funny you mentioned that because like power is not something they spend a lot of time working on, or they'll do a small phase of it and that's it. They won't do like speed strength or strength speed. They'll do like a little bit of power and then it's pure velocity after that. So I've kind of changed that a bit this year, and already we're seeing like we're we're just kind of starting the power phase right now because where we are in our timeline, and already you can see our guys are doing better. They're feeling better. Their pitchers are only at 80%, and they're throwing faster already. Our hitters are hitting better already too. So you're right. I wish there was more emphasis put on power. I am doing so
Would you
right now,
say
but
it's the culture of baseball that wasn't there yet, of training?
yes, I would say so.
Okay.
Especially where I'm at. Me, I don't know how it is in the States. I can no talk. I can only speculate. Where I'm at, like I said, the region I'm at is really old school. Even when I came in with all the prep and prehab and the anatomical adaptation I brought in, it was like mind blowing to them. Like they were kind of hesitant at first because it was just new. Like they're not used to that. They're still thinking like, no, it's the basic, almost bodybuilding type of training: lift heavy, be strong, that type of stuff. But no true application to power or anything. No athleticism, and then the only thing, and they
Power
would
transfers and
sacrifice
stuff like
objective
that.
for brilliant velocity. So they use a lot of velocity core belt, but they don't spend a lot of time really focusing on like, hey, can we build more power in that back leg? So when your pitcher pitches off the mount, has power with the velocity, so that improves both. And I was reading an article actually on that yesterday, and it is possible to improve. So the diagram is nice. So you can improve like force is the same, and you can improve velocity, or you can improve both and have the line move forward and up, so you can both have improve. And too often times they only focus on velocity, not power.
Wow. I mean, that would be super interesting to to dive deeper. Seb, did you have any more questions in regards to either baseball
Well,
or
if we
something
go
like that?
in
Go ahead.
detail, we're never going to finish that discussion. So,
Well, we can go for one more. I mean, I think it's cool. You guys are just discussing. I like I said at the beginning, I'm just a fly on the wall here,
but
guys.
honestly,
you guys go ahead.
I still want to stay with baseball because for me, it's something that I don't have knowledge on this. I'm really focused on hockey players right now, and like if we go back to the way that they play back-to-back games in the same day sometimes, like how can you manage in terms of recovery, or do you do something with them like the screening or specific psychology testing for their mindset or something? Because you cannot train really them in season unless you do like prehab stuff and stuff like that. But after a while, like you said, they're at the park for 10 to 6 p.m. or something like that, you told me. So at one point, you need to go home too. So what do you do during in season?
So actually, you know what? The sad part is this year when I got hired by the academy, I didn't get to start with the team officially until off season started. So I didn't get to screen these guys at all. I was one weekend. I saw the guys move one weekend. That was it. It's because like we have a good support staff. Like it's real big. I finally got to meet everyone. We just talked about that. We just thought, hey, we need to screen these guys better at the beginning of the season. I think it might have been a bit of a budget thing at first, but yeah, next year we're going to make sure screening. We got to improve screening. I need to know where these guys are at risk. I need to get more FMS. I need to know where they're at risk. You're talking recovery. So have you ever heard of micro dosing?
No.
No. Okay. Corey Schlesinger. I think I've always messed up his name. He used to work at Stanford University. He's now with Phoenix Suns in the NBA. Same approach I had with my basketball players. And what we do is rather than having a full workout session prior to whatever, okay, and we're having a double, so we have, let's say, workout in the morning and then a session, practice in the afternoon, we combine one big window. So now we allow more time in between sessions to recover. And you know that after workout, you're not recovering, you're adapting. So it's a stimulus, so you're adapting, then you go into recovery, and usually you recover when you sleep. So for us, it was like, how can we make that window in one place instead of having two where there's barely enough adaptation, then you have to go back to another stimulus and add more stress to the body. So we kind of that. So we practice from 2 to 5 every day, 4:30, but everything is on the same time. So the bench position, they'll come in the gym and they'll go work out and they'll apply that. In season, I didn't get a chance, but this summer we're going to go moving forward. We're going to screen them more often through. The other one is that, okay, we're going to minimize the workout. It's going to be a half hour before, depends on what their needs are. It depends where their heads are at too. So RP for us is big. I track the RP, I track their sleep, and I track just how stressed they feel. Those are the things I track every day for every workout, at the end of each workout, and how they felt through all that. So it gives me an idea of how much I can push them or not push them. So like, for example, last week they were in their midterms and finals. I told the guys, hey, we're not working out. We're going to just have some fun. I don't want you guys, you're so stressed or so like distracted. if I were to try to do
Yeah, it's no use. It's no use.
That's a good point, because strength coach forget that training is a stress, but there's stressor outside the gym. Your girlfriend, sometimes you just break up. That's the stress. Your dog, your parents, those are all stressor, are the same as a training. So you need to look at the big picture. So that's a good point.
And one thing, so I try to be really close to my athletes. So like little brothers to me. Like I spend as much time as I can in Vauxhall with those guys, and if I can, every Friday night, if I don't have to come back to Lethbridge, I stay in Vauxhall. I'll literally hang out with the guys because I want to know how they're feeling. I want to know how they are. How was the week? Because that gives me an idea how much I can push them. And now I get to know these guys so well that I know, first, how to motivate them when they're in the gym. But second, I know, hey, that guy's not into it today. I can tell. Like, he's off today. There's something off. So I might take him aside, hey, what's going on? Let's just chat. Because that's, for me, that's one thing. It's tough to with these kids because they go through so much as it is. Now, hormones are changing. They're growing. All that stuff is happening. But yeah, for me, I track through the app that we use. I track all their stuff. It's in there. And when it comes to, I didn't get the chance. This year was also weird. It's COVID, and we play mostly tournaments. But microdosing is what we try to do. So we waive their stress on a daily basis. We also waive their workouts. So we try to create more adaptation, more stimulus in a short amount of time, and less overall, so they don't crash and improve on recovery.
Yeah, I think it's super important that we take into, like Seb was just talking about, the big picture. Like a lot of it has been just train, get better, faster, stronger, better, faster, stronger, go. But at the end of the day, like if you do too much, it's you're hurting yourself more.
No pain, no
you were
gain.
talking about.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, well, for sure. That's super important.
The whole quote, no pain, no gain.
But no, but I believe in that too. Like you need that, but it's sometimes, well,
A good amount of pain.
Yes, like you need the correct amount, and depending on what you're living, like you're talking about, like your stressful situations and all that, maybe you're putting way too much on yourself because, look, man, you've been stressed. Okay, that's fine. 2 weeks of your life isn't going to change too much. Okay, just take the day, take 2 days, take 3 days if you need it. But then after that, you go back to no pain, no gain. Then you go back to that. You know what I mean? Then you go back to the pain phase. But if you're just always hurt all the time, if you're not feeling well, you're not sleeping well for a month because you just had a baby, why are you going in the gym and killing yourself? You're already hurting. You know what's the point, right? So I mean, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think about what I'm saying? Am I too soft or what?
Zach,
probably. I'm probably a little too soft.
I like that you said you can do too much, and that's, yes, you can actually do too much. And I hope my athletes listen to this and they hear you say that, because I have some that, and actually, Seb, you can shed a light on this too. So 1 year of your job, and obviously you probably spend more time in off season, especially your pros. Luckily, they have the support group when they're in with their teams. But how many kids do you see? You'll see them all summer. They're going to build up. You're going to improve their speed, their power, their efficiency. They're going to be great. They're leaving. They're in great shape, but you don't see them for the rest of the season. And they didn't train, didn't do anything. How often do you see that? And that's why I was like, they try to do too much. And I have some of these guys, like, I hear they'll skate 7 to 10 times a week in season. It's like, why? They got to go see their skill coach. They got to go see their shooting coach. They go see so-and-so. It's like, now they come to me and they're exhausted and expect to get some results. Like, that's not how it works. Like, all we're going to be able to do, man, is like try to wait to make you feel a little better. But I'm not going to make you lift. You're stressed enough as it is. And I guess, especially in the last 2 weeks before camps, and you'll see guys like, oh man, I got to peak for camp. So they're going to skate 3 hours a day, and they'll come in and work out or not work out at all. It's like, dude,
it's the opposite.
You're destroying yourself. You're supposed to be
go home, have a barbecue. Go home, just go home,
like,
relax.
And they come to see me. He's like, man, I lost 10 pounds in training camp. I was like, well, yeah, what would you expect? Like, what happened? Like, I didn't see you for so many weeks. And then it was like, man, I feel so good on your ass. It's like, yeah, but if I were to test you right now, I'm willing to bet you're slower than ever. Your hips are probably so off. And then a week to a month in the season, hey man, my knees are hurting, my hips are hurting. It's like, what did you do for the past month?
I'm with you. Let's go to the segment of the show, because I know both of us we would talk. Actually, all three of us we would talk for a while on this, especially if we're talking about recovery and stuff like that. But hey, let's move on to the GOAT section. So the greatest of all time section of the podcast. We asked the same questions to everybody. Seb, you want to lead us off on this one?
What is your favorite sports book? I'll have my favorite question after.
Sport book?
Yeah. Do you have like one in mind? I know there's multiple
Oh
books.
yeah. Oh,
I have mine,
one.
obviously, but
Okay. Wow. That's a sport. Oh man.
is there like
Right
a
now.
book that has been the most influential to you?
Okay. Dude, that's easy. It's Peak by Dr. Bubbs and Zach. I can't. I love that book.
I remember you
just
sent
can't.
me a message on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
Peak by
Very
Dr.
good.
Bubbs. I don't know if you know who that is, Seb. He's the lead guy for Team Canada in basketball. And he just came out with this new book, Peak, and I absolutely love it. Like that's my go-to book right now. I would
There
say.
you go. We recommend it to everybody then. Your favorite sports movie or documentary?
Oh man. Okay, that's a tough one.
It's tough, man.
Yeah,
It's tough. Could be Remember the Titans. You know what I mean?
I know that's a great movie too. Okay, yeah, you guys are making so stressed. Okay, let's go. Okay, this is gonna be weird. It just gives me goosebumps every time, but I hate it's the Americans, but I think it's Miracle on Ice.
Miracle. I love it. That's unreal. Seb, that's an unreal movie. I have a teammate that used to watch it the night before every single game in junior.
I used to do it when I was a kid.
Oh, there you go. Alex Sirard. That's the guy. Go ahead, Seb.
Who is the greatest athlete who ever lived? Any sports, anytime.
Oh, come on.
Ah,
Oh my. You guys are making this way too hard right now.
It is the greatest of all time section of the show.
Okay. Because how much I respect that person and for like everything, the way he composed himself and everything. I want to say Sidney Crosby. I got to watch him when I was because I lived like when he played junior. I was in Quebec, so I got to watch him play. The way he carries himself, but I'm a big Brady fan too, so it's really.
Okay. So there's a debate within your answer. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the next one. Maybe you're going to have a tougher time with this one. Maybe you're going to answer the same thing as your previous question. But what was the single best sports performance ever? It could be a comeback, most points, fastest time. You know what I mean? Best sports performance of all time.
Wow. I got to go with Brady. Super Bowl
Which one?
comeback.
All right.
That was such a wild game. Like, that's one. But like, he's a comeback kid. Like, I see it would be him. Like, on top of my head, that's the one right now that comes to mind. I'm sure there's probably more that I'm just not thinking about.
Oh, there's millions of
there's so
sports
many,
moments that are iconic, but that's something. And I think you're referring to the story of Tom Brady from the beginning. You know, undrafted drafted, but like super late, right?
Yeah,
and
199.
just the story. Yeah, exactly, 199th, almost undrafted. But I'm saying like the story plays a lot. It weighs a lot into what we see right now.
Yeah.
And the last question of this section, and this is super interesting to us, and we see different perspectives for everybody that comes on the show and we speak to, and it's great because at the end of the day, living Sisu is a community, right? And Sisu is a super, super powerful word and concept in the Finnish language and culture. And it really represents a lot of different words. And here they are, okay? So it's determination, resilience, tenacity, courage, guts, grit, perseverance, inner strength. Which one of these like resonates with you the most and why?
For the longest, I would say grit or grind, like that combination of those words. I even have it on my walls. I absolutely love it because it's always been about a grind. Everything is a grind. I find you just got to grind. But after reading Tim Grover's book, I would have to say relentless. You have to be relentless. And within relentless, you have grit and all that stuff, and you have the grind. And like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not the most talented in anything. And all that I ever accomplished in my life is because I've grinded it out. But I realized it's about relentless. So relentless, I think, is my word for me. Is relentless. Yeah. Be relentless.
And I love that. I love that answer because at the end of the day, Sisu refers to the inner strength we need, okay, to go through challenges, to go through adversity, to go through something that's harder than ever. You know, when all hope seems lost, you know, like we need that inside to push through and really battle through any adversity we might hit. And it's not just in sport. It could be anything in life. And I like that answer. It's really good. And look, we could talk a lot longer, and I want to be respectful of your time and Seb's time. We're going to start wrapping it up. But Seb, if you want to just start wrapping it up for us with our next question here, and then we'll we'll slowly get out of here.
right,
But hey,
so-
that was a super good answer. Honestly, I really like
This
that.
is my last question for you. It's a big one. It's really important for me. What is an unusual habit or absurd thing that you love? It could
Unusual
be.
habit. I love that. I love
Oh
that.
wow. Okay.
We need to
What
know
was
you
the
a
one
bit
you were
better,
telling me?
Alex. Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Seb. Remember you before the show we were
yeah.
talking. What were you talking about?
A bit about me, you know. But honestly, if you want to talk about me, the absurd thing that I love is just walking naked in my house, man. This is like for me, it's just like it's freedom. So, Alex,
That's good.
you know a bit about me now. What about
Yeah.
you?
Okay, you know what's weird is when I'm in, especially my gym, my basement, when I work out, I'm either gonna dance like an absolute idiot for warm up, like that's gonna how I'm gonna start ramping up my heart rate. I'm gonna dance like a moron. That's gonna be my business. I'm gonna go like
That's awesome.
flare everywhere, sing out loud, or weird one. I'll have a conversation with myself in the gym about like ideas and like some. If I'm going to talk to the podcast, I'm talk to someone like how can I have it?
Right.
But here's one I was saying like yeah, I dance. And with my girlfriend recently, she's a varsity athlete, so she'll work out with me sometimes, and she just makes so much fun of me because I'm just going out, moving my arms, flaring,
That's
just kind of
hilarious.
getting loose, and I'm just having fun. Like the music is blasting, and I'm just dancing like an idiot. That's mine, probably.
That's really good. I like
especially
that.
walking.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's very strange and unusual. Thanks for adding that to the goalie stereotype. Great stuff,
sure.
Alex. One of the last things before we get out of here, guys. What's one thing you would recommend everyone would implement in their life to be healthier or live longer? Because you're one of our health pros on the show, right? Like you're not a professional athlete that plays in the NFL. You're one of our health pros that we could really trust and take advice from. So, what would be one thing you would help that would help somebody live longer, live healthier?
Number one for me is sleep. And you see the data now, you see everything. There's so much study done on sleep. And sleep quality is crucial. But yeah, sleep. Start just by getting some Z in there and get some Z. Like get to bed, sleep. Like that's my biggest challenge right now with my athletes, especially younger athletes in teenage years. It's like they don't sleep. They're up till like 2 a.m, and then they have to go up at 7, 6, 8, whatever. Like they go to bed. It's like, dude, how do you expect to play the next level if you can't take care of your body and sleep and recover? You're never going to grow. You're going to affect everything. So sleep for me is my number one.
Seb?
I think being consistent. I mean, we talk about nutrition, we talk about sleep, training, and everything, but sometimes people forget that you need to eat properly 7 days a week, mostly. You can cheat sometimes, but same thing with training, and same thing with sleep. It doesn't mean that you're sleeping 10 hours on one night that you'll be recovered for the rest of the week. It needs to be consistent. For me, I would say that it's being consistent in all of those factors.
Awesome.
I like that.
Thank
I like
you.
that. I wish I could have said that too. You brought me to it, but no, I like.
You're good. You're good.
Can't change right now. I can't change. No vaccine.
Last thing, my friend. Last thing, my guy. What do you want to leave the world of sport with? Like what's going to be your legacy of Evo Athletics or Alex Sirard? What do you leave behind?
To be honest, like if it's Evo, great. If it's me, good, cool. I just want to. I want to be a mentor for the kids. That's my biggest one. Like it's more than just training. I make sure these guys are. Like, I want to be remembered for how much I brought to them, like help their confidence in life, help them achieve whatever they want to achieve, whatever the potential allow them to achieve. So it's not so much about like the training quality per se. It's the how I can like mentor these kids. That's what I want to be remembered for. So I want to be able to mentor good athletes, have a good culture, and have some good guys that are just going to give out society and do their things, the right things. And same way kind of had my mentors. It wasn't just about being the best athlete. It was about being the best person possible. So for me, if I can be a mentor, and I would, that's why, especially at a younger age, if I can be the one thing that'd be for me, like I want to be around someone who like mentor kids to be their best version of themselves.
Very cool. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it, and it was an awesome conversation. And I'm sure we left a lot. I had written a bunch of notes, and I think we left some off the table. But, geez, man, thank you so much. Where can people find you? Talk about your gym, where you're at, social media, just so everybody knows who's who,
the
what's
best one
what.
right now is to social media is the best one, whether it's TikTok or Instagram at evoathletics.ltd. I'm also on YouTube at Evo Athletics. And but social media, so Instagram, TikTok, the best way to reach out to me. All my contact info is on there. And then with COVID right now, gyms aren't a thing for us in Alberta. So my basement is my gym. I'm trying to add more eventually, hopefully get the backyard. But Evo Athletics Ltd is the way to reach out to me.
Awesome. All right, super inspiring, man. You got a great story. Your values are at the right place. Thanks for doing what you do, and we'll talk soon, Alex. And Evo Athletics, a Living Sisu partner. So if you guys want to check it out on the app, you guys go ahead, and if ever you're in Lethbridge, Alberta, you'll go see Alex.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good night, both of y'all.
Thanks.
Say good night.
So that's it. That was our interview with Alex. Sebs, thank you so much for tonight's talk. It was honestly super interesting. I learned a lot. Pretty inspiring guy, too, since he went from being injured himself to becoming the guy that helps others and brings others better and have a longer career. And that's really his goal, right? He wants to get the next generation to have the right foundation for their sport, no matter what it is, from hockey, baseball, basketball. It's honestly really great that what he's doing. So I'm sure you support everything he does, since you're in the kind of the same field and stuff
do,
like that, right?
If you guys like the content, and I strongly suggest that you go to the App Store and download the Sisu app, and it's free, by the way, and you have so much stuff on it. Or you can go also on the website on livingsisu.com.
Exactly. And same thing with Evo Athletics. He has so many good things to share about his gym and all that. So thanks for reminding everybody about our app and everything like that. He's also a partner. And on Facebook, we have the Living Sisu community on there, where there's going to be a bunch of events and pictures and updates, blogs, stuff like that. All the Living Sisu content will also be on the app. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all that. And I hope you guys really got some value out of today's episode. We'll talk to you soon. Talk to you next week. Everybody have a great day.